Hey, what's up? It's Akeyles, and this is the Iron Fist review. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so let's start off with the beginning of the show. Beginning of the show, Danny Rand, he's no clothes on, dirty, no shoes, and we find out that whatchamacallit, his parents died at a young age when he was 7 in a plane crash. He gets picked up by a monastery and raised for 15 years. After those 15 years, he goes into back to the world and tries to go back to the company which his dad made, which was taken over by Harold Meacham, who died and then was taken over by Ward and Joy. Ward and Joy don't believe him. They end up drugging him. We end up finding that Harold is alive, but he's hiding and he's talking to Ward. And they find out that that is Danny Rand, and they try to understand why he's there. They ask him questions. Harold actually comes out from hiding and tries to talk to him. We find out that Harold has ties with the Hand, and Danny, while drugged, tells him, and he believes that Harold's a ghost, tells him that I am Iron Fist, I'm Destroyer of the Hand. This is interesting news for Harold, and for some reason, Harold wants to use Danny once he finds out about the Hand, once he uses the Hand. So we find out that Harold has ties to the Hand. The Hand is the one who actually brought him back to life because he was dead. He had to go under hiding when he came back to life as their agreement, and also that Ward has to do their bidding for the Hand, or Harold has to do it, and Harold tells Ward to do their bidding. That's a lot of info, right? But people feel like even though all that stuff was going on, that the show was still slow, and I can understand why, especially since with the plane crash with his parents and the flashbacks and no fighting, just more a lot of character development. Because of Batman and seeing Batman's parents die so much, I believe that we get desensitized to the situation, so we don't cling on to anything like that. And for them to try to attempt like go into deeper, we still wouldn't do it. And if they did it any shorter, or if they didn't do it at all, if he just said it, then a lot of people would complain about it being too short or them going into it too long. So they did, to me, I guess, the perfect kind of flashback. Actually, they did maybe one or two more than what they should have done. But again, this was for character development, which was essential. They could not leave it out. Now let's actually talk about the Iron Fist. I never liked how the Iron Fist looked in the show. His hands were very translucent, and from what I'm used to of like a glow, like a fiery glow around his hands, and his hands being solid light. And later on, they show an older Iron Fist, and his hands actually glow. We don't know if it's just because of it's a tape or anything like that, but he's also using both hands, which is very interesting because in this series, they choose to make inexperienced Iron Fist who doesn't know his powers at all. He can only use one hand, and it shows that hey, with this, with more knowledge, he can actually become this type of Iron Fist, a more badass one. It's also weird that out of all of the defenders, he's the one with the least amount of experience, because I've only known him to be a full master of his powers. I've never seen him at this point where he's struggling to learn his abilities. It's weird that they chose to make him the least experienced out of the defenders, but I guess it was understandable, more like of a character build. In fact, the way that they've made him, it seems like a season 2 should fall right before Defenders, because he's not as adept into his powers as everybody else is. His is much more complex than Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. Now, in the comic, Jessica Jones can fly, but I don't actually see that being a thing in the Marvel series. But back to Iron Fist. Iron Fist, I really wish we could get a season 2 just to see him more developed in just their storyline. Because either the storyline is going to blend in into the Defenders and he's still going to be unexperienced, or there's going to be a big time gap and he's just going to be like, well, during this time, and say, hey, during the 6 months I learned how to control my powers, realign my chi, and things like that. Because for this Defenders, we need to see something big. We need to see all four of these guys pretty much at their almost close to their apex in powers. So let's move on from powers to actual fighting. Now, in here, a lot of people have been complaining about him not fighting well. But as I watched, and I had to rewatch it for a second time just to make sure, his fight scenes aren't as bad as people are making it out to be. In fact, his form might be a little sloppy, especially like during kicks, but for the most part, the fight points are on scene. He attacks as he defends. He has a really good Chinese style, which, like, if you go back and watch the Drunken Fist fight, it was really good. Even some of the kicks that he did, they're really good. If you compare fighting, who had the best fighting, you throw out Luke Cage and Jessica Jones because they were powerhouse and they didn't have any technique, and you compare it to season 1 Daredevil. Season 1 Daredevil only had one fight scene better than any of Iron Fist, and that was the hallway scene. The rest of them, to me, don't compare to Iron Fist. I actually like how they wrote Danny Rand in the series. He's a 7-year-old boy who gets picked up by a monastery and been raised by monks. So these monks are, if I believe, to be very trusting, very open with them. And he's still a 7-year-old kid, so he still has, well, as an American, he still has like a 7-year-old personality on top of a monk's personality. So he's still childish at the same way he's still calm and adult-like in his vocabulary and the way he talks to people. He still feels like a 7-year-old in an adult body. And his attitude when he comes back, he believes in doing the right thing, which he's probably taught in the monk monastery. And when he goes to do business, or when he gets his business back and they're like, hey, we have these pills that only cost $5 to make, we can go sell them for 50. He's like, how many people die? He finds out a huge number dies, and he's like, nah, we selling this at cost, we can make money somewhere else. I love that attitude, that we're doing the right thing no matter what, and we can make money somewhere else. That is an awesome attitude that Americans wouldn't have, or your typical American wouldn't have. Let me talk about Daredevil fights versus Iron Fist fights real quick. If you look at Daredevil fights compared to Iron Fist fights, and from season 1, in season 1, Daredevil, for the most part, fights hand soldiers until he fight that one dude in the end, which he burns up or something like that. That's when he actually does fight a master, or even Wilson Fisk, who isn't a master, and he gets basically his ass beat by those dudes. Like, he struggles with those dudes all through the match and barely gets through. In fact, think about current Wilson Fisk versus Iron Fist. Would that even be a good matchup even without the Iron Fist? Now, if you look at Iron Fist actually starts off fighting assassins, which he actually fights them back to back. The Needle Lady, you can't really count that as a fight, but he actually does beat her, even though she had multiple chances to kill her, and I guess it's just her fault for toying with him. But he did a 2-on-1 in the beginning, and then he fights her drugged. He gets drugged, and then right after that, he fights a dude with weapons. And yes, he did struggle in most of those matches in the beginning, but towards the end, you can tell there was he was the definitive winner towards the end of all those matches. In all his matches throughout the series, he just needs to adapt to his style. He's probably only fought people in the Chinese monastery. He's not used to different fighting styles, and it just took him a while to adapt. But once he adapts, you can tell he's the undefeatable warrior. Now, let me go into the story. Story had a whole bunch of twists and turns that I didn't see coming. Harold meets him coming back after war killing him completely shocked me. I was like, what, son? Where, son? What? He's back? What? It shocked me. I don't know about you guys, but it shocked shit out of me. But at the same time, it did have different interests where you could see coming from a mile away. Like, his parents, of course, they were gonna say no. Of course, Harold was the one to say yes. Of course, Harold killed the parent. Colleen being hand, there's there's like little instances like maybe, but it's like small, it's like small in your head. Like, man, she could be hand, but man, I highly doubt she's hand. Or if she is hand, she didn't know she was hand, and her sensei, is hand, but not telling her. Nah, but she strung out, knew she was hand the whole time. Let me get into things that disappointed me. One thing that disappointed me was the last fight. The last fight was very disappointing. We do get to see him punch the ground and like shatter the building, but the most he's done with his powers the whole season. But after that, the whole shooting on the roof, it was lackluster. It wasn't something to end Iron Fist on. Also, Joy, like, I understand her character. I can understand why she would want to talk to Harold Meacham and things like that. But once, I guess, Danny killed Harold Meacham, and she teamed up with Davos and they were trying to kill him. It's just that it wasn't very understandable, because if you see how Ward was acting, if Ward was talking to her and Ward was telling her, hey, yo, this dude needs to die, and Danny's also siding with him, how do you not understand? Like, what is that about? I totally understand Davos, because Davos, he fronts out and calls Danny a thief. Danny comes there as an outsider. Nobody says he should be there. Nobody says he should even be going for the Iron Fist powers. He ends up getting the Iron Fist powers and then bouncing. He Davos trained his whole life. And this is his friend, and he's not there to guard the gate, which he was supposed to do with the power. So I can understand him wanting to kill him. That way he can then take the trial and then become the Iron Fist, guard the gates like he's supposed to be. I can understand that. Overall, Iron Fist is a good series for me. I would highly recommend people to watch it. I actually put the series up there with Luke Cage. I'm not gonna put one over the other because I like both of them for different reasons, or for the same reasons. I like the characters in both of them. I like the whole theme of the show. The characters stood for something, and it was a really good show. Same thing with all the Netflix Marvel shows. They all were great in their own way, and I highly recommend all of the Marvel Netflix ones. Then that ending was a perfect setup for Iron Fist season 2. Right now, I'd rather see Iron Fist season 2 than the Defenders, because Iron Fist just isn't where he should be for the Defenders. He should learn more stuff. He should be more in control of his powers. We should know what's going on with all these people that died from Kung Lao, and unless this blends into into the Defenders, I don't see how they can go from there to the Defenders. He's not where he should be. He's not in control. He's not in full control of his powers. He needs to be able to last a lot longer. He needs stamina for his chi. He needs to be able to wreck faces. But this video's gone on for long enough. Guys, let me know what you think about the show. If it sucked, if it didn't, let me know at the bottom. If there's something you want me to talk about, we can chat it up in the comments. Go ahead and drop a comment. You want to see me do reviews on other shows that I watch, let me know. And till next time, I'm out. Sub to see all my other content.